All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're looking at an absolute classic, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, and figuring out why a book from 1936 is basically the ultimate social algorithm for our modern digital lives. You might be wondering, why on earth are we dusting off an old business book from the 30s? Well, our technology is completely transformed, right? But human nature? It hasn't changed a bit. The exact same psychology driving human interaction back then is driving us today. Now, check out this number, 85%. It turns out 85% of your financial and professional success actually comes down to human engineering, not your technical knowledge. Your pure, hard skills, those only account for about 15% of your success. I mean, think about it. We all know that incredibly brilliant coder or analyst who keeps getting passed over for promotions, right? Usually, it's because they can't lead a team or clearly communicate their ideas. And on the flip side, we've all seen people with just average technical skills absolutely soar to the C-suite. Why? Because they know how to connect with people, build consensus, and navigate tricky personalities. Your ability to do that is the real engine of your career. So, what we are doing here is translating Carnegie's legendary insights into a totally practical, modern toolkit. The goal? To help you build genuine relationships, lead without offending people, and basically navigate the modern workplace. And look, obviously there's a massive difference between a 1936 boardroom and today's hybrid remote environments. But whether you're managing a scattered team on Slack, networking for a new gig over Zoom, or honestly just trying to survive a tense family dinner, these tools are incredibly actionable.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll kick off with the human engineering secret, then move on to making people like you, winning minds without arguments, leading without offense, and finally, authenticity and ethical influence.
Let's get right into Section 1, the human engineering secret and why people's skills matter most.
The absolute most crucial point to grasp here is that dealing with people is the single biggest challenge you are going to face. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO or just trying to survive a group project. Human engineering isn't about being a slick talker, and it's definitely not about manipulating a conversation. It's a fundamental shift in your mindset. Think about it as the difference between telling a potential client why your product features are objectively awesome versus genuinely digging into why their current workflow is driving them crazy and then offering a targeted solution to fix that pain. If you can figure out what other people's problems are and actually help solve them, you become completely invaluable.
Carnegie hits the nail on the head here. He reminds us that we aren't dealing with creatures of logic. We're dealing with creatures of emotion. We are all driven by pride, vanity, and prejudice. And that means you simply cannot use pure logic alone to win someone over. We fall into this trap all the time, right? We think if I just present the best facts and the cleanest data, everyone will automatically agree with me. But because we're emotional creatures, logic often just inflames resistance if you don't pair it with empathy. People absolutely need to feel heard before they're ever willing to truly listen to you.
Moving on to Section 2, making people like you, the absolute foundation of rapport.
These 6 habits are so simple, but they are incredibly profound. The whole trick is shifting the focus away from yourself and onto the person you're talking to. Become genuinely interested in them. Smile, and yes, even on a video call, your energy absolutely translates. And what about remembering their name? Carnegie famously called a person's name the sweetest and most important sound in any language. It shows immediate respect. Then there's being an attentive listener. In our world of non-stop smartphone notifications, giving someone your undivided focus, without just waiting for your turn to talk, is practically a superpower. Talk about what matters to them, and above all, make them feel important.
Think about it like this. When you go fishing, you don't put strawberries and cream on the hook, you use a worm. You might love strawberries and cream, but the fish literally doesn't care. It sounds totally absurd when you put it like that, right? But think about how often we do the exact same thing in business and in life. We go into a pitch, a negotiation, or even just a casual debate, and we just talk about what we want. We've got to stop doing that. Stop talking about what you want and start arousing an eager want in others. You have to frame your ideas around how it benefits them and solves their specific problems.
This illustrates the psychology at play in a nutshell. We all have this desperate, fundamental craving for approval and importance. Notice the word craving. William James, a foundational thinker in psychology, didn't call it a passing wish, he called it a craving. If you can be the person who consistently makes others feel valued, appreciated, and heard, people will naturally be drawn to you. They'll drop their defenses and be way more open to your influence and your ideas.
All right, Section 3, winning minds without arguments, or how to persuade peacefully. So how do we actually de-escalate tension? Carnegie says the only way to get the best of an argument is to just avoid it entirely. Think about it. Arguments almost never change minds. They usually just end with both people even more convinced they're right, digging their heels in to protect their pride. Instead, start friendly, find some common ground. And here is a massive pro tip. Admit your own faults quickly and emphatically. When you beat the other person to the punch and admit you might be wrong, it instantly deflates their anger. You literally take away their ammunition. And suddenly, they don't have an adversary to fight anymore.
You really want to frame disagreements as us versus the problem. This is a brilliant mindset shift. Letting the other person talk and saving their face is a highly strategic tool. Empathy diffuses what logic inflames. When you approach a conflict with an empathetic, collaborative tone, you're signaling that you're on their side. If you can actually put yourself in their shoes and understand why they hold their position, you can guide them to a new conclusion together, instead of trying to beat them into submission with facts.
Look at the difference here. Telling someone, "You're wrong, look at the facts," is just a direct attack. It's an assault on their intelligence and their ego. But if you simply say, "I thought otherwise, but I may be wrong. Let's examine the facts together," that completely flips the dynamic. Notice how that tiny tweak in phrasing totally disarms their defensiveness? It stops them from locking into a stubborn no. You're inviting them to investigate with you, turning a tense confrontation into a joint team effort. Let's move to Section 4, Leading Without Offense and Correcting with Grace. If you want to lead effectively, stop barking orders and start asking questions. This lets the other person propose the solution, which gives them immediate ownership of the idea. Let's be real. Nobody likes taking direct orders, especially top performers. But if you ask, "Hey, do you think there's a more efficient way we could handle this process?" you instantly empower them to solve the problem themselves. The end result is exactly the same. The process gets improved, but you leave behind a vibe of collaboration and respect, instead of resentment. When you absolutely have to address a mistake, think of starting with honest praise, like a dentist using Novocaine. The patient still gets the drilling, but the pain is gone. Always wrap the correction in context. Maybe mention a time you made a similar error just to show you aren't talking down to them from some high horse. Call attention to the issue indirectly, and above all else, let the other person save face. In today's workplace, calling someone out publicly triggers an immediate fight-or-flight response, which literally shuts down their brain's ability to learn. Preserving their dignity ensures they actually stay motivated to fix the issue.
This right here is easily one of the most profound leadership tactics you will ever find. Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. When you praise the potential you see in someone, you encourage them to rise to the occasion until they actually start believing it too. Let's say you have a team member who's struggling. Treat them as if they are already the highly capable, skilled person you know they can be. It's amazing. Human beings will work incredibly hard to avoid disappointing a leader who genuinely believes in them.
Finally, Section 5, Authenticity and Ethical Influence, which is really the heart of the whole method. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room here, the potential dark side of human engineering. Critics often point out that notorious figures, even people like Charles Manson, supposedly use these exact same principles to manipulate and control people. So is this all just manipulation? It's a really fair question. And the truth is, any system that understands human psychology can absolutely be weaponized if the intent is malicious or entirely selfish. But here is the absolute vital difference between sociopathic manipulation and Carnegie's method. Carnegie strictly requires genuine, authentic interest in the other person. Let's face it, people have an incredibly highly tuned radar for insincerity. If you're just using forced flattery as some transactional hack to get what you want, it's going to backfire and it will permanently destroy trust. The secret sauce here is specificity. Don't just give hollow, generic praise. Find something highly specific that you genuinely admire about their work or their perspective and highlight that.
As Carnegie said, forget yourself. Do things for others. This single idea proves that true influence isn't some selfish little hack. It's about treating people as valuable equals. To actually master these concepts and integrate them into your life, you have to be willing to step outside of your own ego. You have to genuinely want to see the people around you succeed, feel important, and crush their goals. When your true intention is to lift others up, the influence you gain is really just a natural byproduct of your goodwill.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. How much time and emotional energy are you wasting every single week arguing with people,
Just think about it. If you apply even one of these principles today, imagine how much energy you'd save and how much your relationships could transform. Whether it's choosing to just avoid a pointless argument, swallowing your pride to admit a mistake quickly, or just taking 2 minutes to genuinely ask a coworker about their weekend, these tiny psychological shifts compound into massive professional and personal success over time. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you take these timeless tools out into your modern world.